Okay, we are live.
Okay, welcome to a new episode of Father Mahoney's. Well, I almost said Father Mahoney's House of Horrors because I just did a show. Welcome to Mahoney's MadHouse. I am your father, Father Mahoney. We are produced today by Mr. Cody Robinson, and as always, I'm joined by the King of Swing, Cyrus Alderwood.
Cheers, everybody.
And so, first of all, we got to mention thank you, Mr. Producer Poe, because me and Cyrus got the link, but the guy running the show kind of forgot, didn't get a link, so we had to scramble at the last second, but we still love you, Poe.
Okay, well, do you guys still want to play the intro?
Sure.
I figured out how.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, here we go, guys. Here goes nothing.
Well, now welcome to a new episode of Mahoney's MadHouse. We'll just call that the cold opening earlier. I am produced by, I was joined by Mr. King of Swing himself, Cyrus Alderwood. How are you doing, Cyrus?
Hey, pretty good, man. Appreciate you asking. And, you know, with the intro, I like the intro, but at the very beginning of it, I feel like I'm sitting down getting ready to watch a Tarantino flick or like some skin flick from the 70s. So it's kind of fun.
Yeah, I know it has that like the old grindhouse, that beginning.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm still waiting on zombies to come up and try to steal that guy's secret barbecue sauce. Steal that recipe. You been under the weather? You feeling better, Rob?
I am. Yeah, I was just gonna mention it's been a couple of weeks because we were supposed to have a show last week, and I know you weren't doing that great either. But like, I was like dead to the world. I missed like 3 days of work. Luckily, I had a little bit of sick time, so I used those. But man, I was like death. I was death on a stick last week, man.
Yeah, I don't know what it was. I know a lot of people are just not quite themselves. So, but no, I believe it's a better week, man. It's I know it's springtime, warm. I think a lot of allergies. Pollen gets in the air. It really sucks.
Yeah, I was gonna try to make a thing a bit last week. I was gonna try to do the show, but I was like, man, I'm like half asleep. I was gonna forget things, and I was like, no, like let's just hold this off,
You know, one thing that's really
Axel Foley can wait for one more week.
You know, one thing that's really exciting that's coming up, not just the Axel Foley talk tonight. I know the NBA playoffs start tonight, and no one gives a crap, right? I don't, but we've got hockey playoffs coming up soon.
Yeah, well, that's where I'm at. I'm at the hockey playoffs because, a lot of people who don't know, I'm a huge Bruins fan. I mean that topic is for another show because I could go on for like a hot minute for the Bruins. But
yeah, let's talk a little hockey playoffs next time. Let's give some predictions. Yeah,
yeah, go ahead. I really haven't been following any other teams. I really didn't even know who's in the playoffs besides I know Florida's in and Carolina. I think Carolina's in, but I really I've been so focused on my Bruins that I don't care who else is playing.
Yeah, I think Boston's going to be a bitch this year. They're going to be rough to they're kind of a team nobody really wants to play either, you know. But I think there's a lot of parity this year in hockey. I mean, there's the Red Wings might skate in. I don't think so, but you got some of like the original ones that are out there that everybody kind of sort of cheers for. But I think we're gonna have a really competitive playoff. I mean, I think you see a lot of 5-game and 7-game series going.
Yeah.
So, I'm excited.
I think that makes it more exciting too when you have. I don't really like it when you have sweeps. Even with my Bruins, I don't like when you sweep a team. It's like anticlimactic. I like when you get to that game 6 or game 7. It's like, everything is on the line. This is do or die. I love that scenario.
All the tension and the passion of the fans. But there's nothing like a team sweeping and then like sitting down on their ass for a week and getting cold. You know, I mean, that's how good teams get knocked out. They set up, and the more battle tested somebody is, they come in there ready to fight. I mean, it's really by the time you get to the conference finals and the Stanley Cup finals, there's some teams that are obvious favorites, but like it really comes down to who the hell wants it most. And
well, with my Bruins, last year I was so disappointed. They broke the record for like the most points of the season. Award-winning goaltending. And then when they get to the playoffs, I was so mad at the coach because he got away from the dynamic of flip-flopping the goalies all year, all 82 games last year. We flip-flopped the goalies. When it came playoff time, he stuck with one goalie, and he picked a guy who was pretty much injured the whole series. And then by the time he goes back to the other goalie, we're down 3-1. Like, you're asking a guy who's been sitting on the bench now a week and a half to come cold in on a elimination game. Like, that's I was so pissed last year. Like, and this year there's talk about again going to one goalie, that old school mentality. I mean, I remember the days when you'd have like the Montreal Canadiens when they had Patrick Roy. Patrick would play like 70 games, and the other guy would play like 10 to 12. We're away from those days where we kill our goaltender just to get to the playoffs.
And we're a long way from those days where you had dominant goaltenders too, like Dominic Hasek and Patrick Roy and those guys, and Eddie Balfour, and who was the guy there in New Jersey?
I know who you're talking about. Brodeur.
Yeah, Martin Brodeur. I mean, you don't have goaltenders like that today, and it's just like old school pitching in the 80s and 90s. You don't have pitchers like that either now.
No, and no pitcher has any stamina either. Yeah. Like, remember the days the guys would go at least 7, 8 innings, and now they get pulled after 5, and then there's like 17 relievers, and
Well, I'm gonna give you just a quick heads up on the teams that are in it, just so people that are here to talk might know. In the you're a big East Coast guy. I'm a big Eastern Conference guy too. In the East, the Atlantic, you got Florida, Boston, Toronto, and Tampa that have all secured a playoff spot. In the Met, you got the Rangers, Carolina, Islanders, and the Caps.
Yeah.
So Caps are probably the longest shot of all those. Yeah, easily, because they've had 40 wins. I think they've only got 91 points, but the Rangers are going to be real tough this year.
Yeah.
Boston,
the Rangers.
Carolina's going to be tough. And then Florida and Boston. Toronto might be the sneaky one. They're really good too. They might be the sneaky one to go deep in the East.
Yeah, they might be the what they used to call the long shot.
Dark horse. Yeah,
the dark horse. Yeah.
Yeah. Now out west, you have Dallas. Winnipeg, Colorado's in, the Predators, National Predators are in. St. Louis caught fire for a little while, but they're not going to make it. And then Vancouver's clinched in the Pacific, Edmonton, Vegas, and LA. And Vegas is another one of those dark horse teams, and when they catch fire too, you don't know what's going to happen in the playoffs with them. But they don't have the number of points that like Vancouver has or Dallas, because I think Dallas is probably on par with Toronto and Boston.
Vegas was so dominant last year too.
Yeah. So it's going to be an exciting playoff. That's why I think a lot of these teams are really evenly matched. one of the things I'm kind of glad about, even though, stars and stripes down here, hockey was Canada's game to begin with. I'm really glad to see Edmonton in there and Vancouver in there too.
Yeah.
I'm glad to see Winnipeg get in as well.
Well,
and Toronto.
Edmonton has one of my favorite non-Bruins players, is Connor McDavid. I think that guy is incredible.
Yeah. So Jersey was way out of it this year. I don't know if you like them. Philly was nowhere close.
I've never been. In fact, the last game I ever saw at the old Boston Garden was the Bruins had to win to clinch the playoffs, and they lost to the New Jersey Devils.
Yeah.
So
Pittsburgh was nipping at the heels of Washington for a spot in the playoffs, but the Capitals clinched. That's my team, by the way, the Capitals. They're not going to make it out of the first round. I don't think they've got a shot at even. They might win a game, maybe.
that's too bad.
They're old. They're long in the tooth, man. They've got to get younger. And it ain't happening anytime soon. So they're gonna after this year, I think we're not gonna have a handful of good years at all. So
well, I think that's what the Bruins did better this year is got a little bit younger. Yeah, they still have some older guys, but they traded for a lot of good players this year, and a lot of them have worked out. So, like I love Morgan Geekie. I think he's so underrated, and I think he's going to be a force to be reckoned with for a while. Yeah. But of course, Pasternak will still always be my favorite.
Yeah.
I have my Pasternak jersey in the closet right now.
You being a Boston guy, I'm sure you don't like the Rangers, and I'm no fan of the Rangers either. But they are going to be a bitch.
Yeah,
they are going to be. I would not be surprised to see them in the conference finals.
Well, I'd like to know what some of our listeners, if you guys have any picks. We're on YouTube and Rumble right now, so I'm not sure if we're on the Twitter channel today, but if we are, you guys drop your comments on who you're going for, because then you guys will have bragging rights if they win. So me, I'm going with my Bruins. Are you gonna stick with the Capitals, or are you gonna have a different pick?
I'm no fair weather fan. I'm always gonna be a Caps fan. I've been there for a while. Back to when I was a kid and watching in the days of old Dale Hunter.
Dale Hunter, yes.
So I enjoyed. Actually, with Joe Juno, we got Adam O too. They came down from Boston and played there for a while, and they never worked out.
I had the honor of meeting Adam Oates years ago. One awesome dude. I love Adam Oates.
Yeah, me too. I think I told my story on here once before meeting Adam Oates in Roanoke. And but cool stuff though. But I'm a Caps guy. I'll always be a Caps guy. But there are other teams I like out there. So when the Caps are out, I'm probably going for the Bruins after that.
Yeah, Dale Hunter. That's old school, man. I remember the fights between him and Terry O'Reilly, man.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Terry O'Reilly was my guy. So when you brought up Dale Hunter, I was like, oh, flashbacks.
There's some rough times, man. It was great hockey. And I sort of
we don't have that anymore.
I sort of hope it gets back to that a little bit, you
remember the year that they tried to bring in where they if you fought, it was automatically you got suspended for a couple of days. It was they were trying to clean up the game, and I'm like, if you get rid of fighting, there is no hockey.
Yeah, you took the passion and the aggression out of the best game. And you know what? Back in our day, Rob, if you didn't get in a fight, you got suspended for 2 games.
Yeah. And I always hear, and I'm gonna trash talk the other sports for a little bit, but all the other sports, if it's hockey, it's okay to fight, but if we fight, we get suspended, we get fines, and we get and fuck you. That's not the same kind of sport. It's not the same physicality. I guess you could put football up there with the physicality part, but but obviously, you can't just take off your shoulder pads and everything and then drop down and fight. Hockey, it's been a tradition since day one of hockey that you have your one guy that goes out there and protects your major players.
Oh yeah, you're enforcer.
Every team. Think about it. In the history of hockey, every team has had that one enforcer to step up and say, hey, I might not be able to score great, but I'm going to kick your ass if you touch our scores.
You know, yeah, Dale Hunter from Caps. You know, one of the biggest enforcers that, like the guy who intimidated even other enforcers. Remember Scott Stevens from the Devils?
Yes.
Back in the mid-90s. Man, that son of a bitch was mean. Like, nobody wanted to fight him. And, of course, everybody wanted to fight Eric Lindros.
Oh, yeah. And Eric Lindros was one of those rare guys that could score, but also could defend himself. Like,
oh, he was he had a big target. He was just a big son of a bitch, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Everybody beat him.
Cam Neely was the same way. Cam Neely was a great scorer, but he could throw down when he wanted to.
See, guys like that, unfortunately, they don't have very long careers. Because you got a target on your back and everybody's hitting you all the way up and down the ice.
Yeah, and that happened with Cam Neely. He got taken out, I believe it was by Ulf Samuelsson.
So same thing with like football players, tight ends, especially tight ends that are big enough to like knock the hell out of people. They're always getting. No wonder that guys like Gronk don't last, long career. By the time they've played 7-8 years, they're done anyway.
Yeah, even if they stuck around after, they're more now like almost what baseball calls a utility player.
Yeah, they're just when they're dressing on the field. Maybe they get a little extra attention when they divert the ball somewhere else. Yeah.
And they're for their leadership too. They're there for the leadership.
Yeah, after about 7-8 years, they're literally about half the player they were. Those guys like that.
I agree.
But, anyway, I'll shut up about the sport, but I'm excited about hockey playoffs and
and you've read about the basketball playoffs. I'm guessing years past, it was even exciting for me to say, okay, it's basketball playoff time. But even this year, I've literally, and this is honestly, I probably only watched 3 Celtics games this year, and I think they have a lot of talent. I just haven't invested myself in them this year. I don't know what it is.
Unfortunately, I watched a little bit more of it this year than I have before because my nephew's big into basketball. So, whenever I call my nephew and take him out to lunch or something, we talk basketball. But two things I'm glad to see. I didn't watch the game last night, but Golden State got housed by damn near 30 points out of the playoffs. Dynasty over. I get sick and tired of seeing the same team every year like that, especially with like players you don't like that Draymond Green guy who's getting ejected every other game. They should have put him on. And I'm sick of LeBron. He won last night, but that's only because that Zion guy got pulled in the last 3 minutes for a leg injury. But I hope they got to play whoever the number 1 ranked seed is. They'll be swept out here in no time. But I'm sick of LeBron. I'm so sick of that guy. And I'll tell you why I'm sick of him, man. And I went on this rant on my own podcast. I don't know who listened to it or if anybody cared. But if you're a sports fan, I know there's LeBron fans out there. The guy's a great player. I totally get it. Awesome player in his time. And everybody wants to compare the MJ to LeBron, and young kids today are like, LeBron's better and all this stuff. He's not. He's not anywhere close. The thing that disgusts me about LeBron James is that this guy, when he left Cleveland, he went around trying to find super teams to win so he could break Jordan's three-peat twice record, right? So first of all, you're chasing the ghost you're not going to catch. So he goes down to Miami thinking they're going to win a ton, and they win, 2?
Yeah.
Then he goes back to Cleveland after several years down in Miami with super teams. Now everybody wants to put a super all-star team together on their own team. He goes back there. He actually wins a good one for Cleveland. Get him in the Hall of Fame for that, man. You can win something in Cleveland, good for you. You kind of go down as one of the greats. But then he goes out to LA and starts trying to build super teams again. And he's won 4 rings?
Yeah, but nobody talks about how many he's lost either.
No. And Jordan, he got to the finals. They're like, you lost the finals. He's like, what's that mean? Jordan don't know. Every time Cat got to the finals, he won. He never lost the finals. And even when you compare numbers, and it's a different game today because if you look at somebody sideways, you get called for a foul. And if players in the NBA get in a fight, it's sissy fighting. Now that Draymond Green for the Golden State Warriors, you could put him back on the Pistons in the 90s. He'd be right at home.
Yeah,
so
I agree.
But at the same time, if he was on any other team and he had a guy like Lane Beer up his ass for 4 quarters, he'd snap and be kicked out every game because he doesn't have the mental toughness to stand it. He can dish it out, but he can't take it. So in a way he would fit in a way he wouldn't. But yeah, Jordan, and then not only is LeBron running around trying to build super teams to beat Jordan so he can be the man, But he goes out to Hollywood and he starts doing movies. And what's the first movie? What's the movie he does? Space Jam. Why are you doing Jordan's old movie? It's like you might as well wear the man's jockstrap. You're just admitting that you want to be Jordan.
I had that same thing when I heard that he was playing Space Jam. I was like, really? Not only do you want to be him, you want to be him now.
Yeah, don't be Jordan, be LeBron. People will get that.
Yeah.
But you know, the fact that everybody says they're chasing Jordan, that means there's no one ever going to catch him because he's the ghost now. He's not only the GOAT, but he's the ghost. And that's the standard, and they're always going to compare eras, but the eras don't compare because, well, you know, there are a lot of vaginas playing basketball. Back in the 90s, I mean, you go down the middle of playing the Knicks, you're sitting on your ass.
Yep.
So
I agree.
Different games. Same thing with football. You're a wide receiver. Can you imagine if Dan Marino played in today's game? Some bitch would have more yards than anybody else.
Today's cornerbacks. I had this talk with a friend at work. Today's cornerbacks are shit. Really, they are. No wonder why these quarterbacks are getting like 3,500, 4,000 yards because the coverage aspect is terrible. Now, I will say that the defensive front lines, I think those are not. I won't say it's equal as the older days, but man, there's some great like defensive ends today too.
Oh yeah.
So if you can survive that initial pass rush, you're going to burn the cornerbacks in this league.
Yeah, because if the cornerback even looks at the receiver wrong, they get a flag.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like so you can't even defend a receiver.
You got like 90% of the receivers are better than the cornerbacks in this league.
Now, I totally get the rule about targeting the head and not like hitting a defenseless guy. I mean, there's no reason to come full speed and knock some guy back into like the last decade and leave him laying there limp for 10 minutes, you know. But that's just an asshole doing that. But yeah, it's I don't know, totally different game. But yeah, guys like Marino played today's game. Nobody ever catch him.
Yep. No, I agree. One more thing on football before we switch gears. I heard in a recent newspaper around this my area that Tom Brady is thinking about making a comeback again.
And you know what? As much as I hated seeing the Patriots win over and over again like that too, if he came back, I mean, I wouldn't bet against him in a playoff game. It's like he'd come back.
No, because I will say the guy keeps himself in shape. Like he keeps himself in shape for a guy. I think he's like 46 now.
Yeah,
I wouldn't put it past him. And he mentioned 3 teams that he would be interested in playoff. He said the Patriots. He said the Atlanta Falcons, which I was surprised to see that one. And I believe the third team was San Francisco. Now, I was surprised to see about Atlanta, but it kind of makes sense. You know, Matt Ryan's no spring chicken anymore either. So it makes sense. But you're just replacing an old guy for an older guy. So I don't know what the game is there, but
Tom Brady's like, I don't, him and Peyton Manning, I guess, compare a lot. But when Manning went over to Denver, I mean, he was a shell of what he was. Right?
Yeah, I mean, he still was a good quarterback, but he was definitely not
that mental game. I mean, you're playing chess on that field, and he won a Super Bowl with half an arm, you know. And people are afraid if he got popped really good, he's going to have a spinal issue. Brady's like that too, man. He's like a chess master. It's like unfair. It's like having a coach on the field, and they see everything that's about to happen before it happens. And so he went to a team like San Francisco. Could he get him over the hump? Yeah, probably. I mean, Brock Purdy's not bad, but that guy right there, man, he's intimidating. He makes all the difference.
That's what I was thinking of. Like, Brock Purdy has so much potential, and why would Brady want to pick that? Maybe to mentor him? I don't know, but Rodney Harrison said it best about Tom Brady. Tom Brady was playing chess while everyone else was playing checkers.
Yeah.
That's what he quoted Tom Brady, because he's like, I hated the man when I got traded to the Patriots, but then I saw what the hype was all about. Like,
yeah. And I also read a really interesting article about Belichick earlier today too. The only team that interviewed him was Atlanta, and one of the things behind the scenes why Atlanta didn't do it, Arthur Blank, I think is the owner, is because the owner of the Patriots talked to him about how Belichick cannot be trusted.
Yeah.
And that was why they backed away from him, and no one else talked to him.
Well, I wouldn't be surprised to see Belichick go to ESPN or something like that.
Yeah, you know what? I would be surprised after this season. He may go this year to ESPN or Fox or something or NBC or whatever. After this year, what if he went down there and did 2 years at the Cowboys? Would he have enough to get them over the hump?
I think so. I mean, Parcells did it after he left the Patriots. He went somewhere else, made them a success. So I could see Belichick doing that.
No, everywhere he went, he cleaned up a messy team and made them good. Anyway, yeah. But I saw that today, and I thought that was kind of interesting. I didn't know if you'd seen that.
I just want to, before we talk about some other things, I want to get to the singer from Firehouse, CJ Snare.
Yeah.
Passed away from cancer, and 64 years old. You know, me, you, and we can bring in producer Cody, because Cody, I believe Cody was also a hair metal fan too. So, you know, does this guy sing the best ballads of hair band history?
Oh, Love of a Lifetime. Remember that song?
I live my life for you. When I what was the other one? When I not when I see you smile. I'll get back to that. But anyways, there's like 3 or 4 songs that they put out that are probably top 10 in hair metal ballads history. I was just listening.
Was it Don't Walk Away?
Oh, that was a good one, but that was a rocker. But yeah, don't treat me bad.
That was a great one, wasn't it?
Yeah, and then All She Wrote, Babe, bye bye. That was All She Wrote. That one.
Yeah, that first album they came out with, I remember I went to the record store and bought that and on the cassette. And what a great song. Yeah, Love of a Lifetime actually went up to number 5 on the charts. I looked that up earlier today.
Yeah, and it's also considered a very popular wedding song now these days too. Just to think that one of the songs we grew up with hair and metal and glam rock is now considered a top wedding song. That's crazy. I literally cried because I believe it happened April 5th we passed. And April 3rd, I was watching a music reaction channel where these young kids delve into like 70s, 80s, and they actually just listened to Firehouse 2 days before he passed. And the guy said, I listened to that. I'm putting that on my rotation now. And he said the funniest thing. He goes, guys, this is your cue to get scored. Put this song on, you'll get scored. You'll get the score easy with your woman. And I laughed and thinking to myself, like, that's a lot of 80s. Like, 80s was about partying, rock and roll, sex, drugs.
And then the power ballad. Everybody had to have that.
And then the power ballads, yeah.
That's how you lure the chicks in.
Yeah, and then 2 days later, I'm online and it says CJ Snare passed away, and I was like, what the hell? Like, doesn't it feel like, I don't know if it feels like to you, but doesn't it feel like the stuff we grew up are all slowly fading away?
Yeah, I think the problem is it's not a problem, but just the demographics. We were growing up as teenagers. We got to remember these guys that were rock and roll stars are probably mid to late 20s anyway at the time. By the time they made it,
yeah,
and so they're obviously a good decade or so older than us. So some of them 2 decades. Look at Aerosmith still kicking around, for God's sake.
Yeah, I believe they're calling it a career. I believe after this next tour, they said they're doing the Kiss thing.
So I always thought, it's sad. Like I don't really think about it when you lose like certain celebrities or rock stars. It's just part of life. But then like once in a while, one of them happens. Like, man, it kind of hits you in the feels. Like when Eddie Van Halen died. Man,
yeah.
Eddie, like Van Halen was a big part of my growing up years. Prince. Tom Petty and some of those guys that passed. It's like, Jesus, man, like, or their movies were big all the time, and that's a big part of your growing up. And because the growing up was like a rite of passage. That music and those movies, we were like, I don't know, our generation was like the latchkey kids, right? So when we got home, we kind of had time to ourselves, and like somebody once joked around, it's like, Mom, Dad, you're not raising your kids. Guns N' Roses and Madonna, they're raising your kids. Like, in some ways, that was sort of true. The music shaped who we were.
Yep.
And but I'll ask the producer that's who's hanging around back there. If you think those songs are cool now, like we're what 3 decades away from checking into the nursing home. Do you think when we all get that old, when we walk in, we ought to have our own rock and roll theme? I want a hair metal. I want to have cruises that are like tended toward hair metal, and parties that are like 80s parties or 90s parties. I want an old folk song that's 80s metal, 80s rock and roll. I'll check into that place and listen to Priest all day. How fun would that be?
I don't know if Mr. Producer is still with us backstage.
He's probably drinking some cold beer.
Or some PBR.
Yeah.
That he stole from Travis.
What kind of beer do you like? Cold, sir.
Did somebody say PBR?
I did.
That'll get you attention right there.
Yeah.
I was going to ask you, Cody, we're all about 3 decades away from checking into the nursing home ourselves. We're seeing all of our rock stars.
You're being pretty generous, buddy.
So when we check in, man, I want a 80s hard rock themed retirement home. So when you get up in the morning, you go into breakfast, what's your playlist when you're 85 having oatmeal and like coughing up teeth?
Wow. I mean, that's a good one.
I want Every Mother's Nightmare, The Good Die Young. I want that one on there. I want that play.
Only the Good Die Young, yeah. I was going to say Bon Jovi's "Blaze of Glory," but that should be for the bedtime song.
Yeah.
For the morning, wow. Motley Crue, "Kickstart My Heart" for one.
Okay, that's a good one.
See, I'm right there with you, Cody, but my song would be "Looks a Kill" by Motley Crue.
I want to walk into the breakfast hall and hear that motorcycle kick up, girls, girls, girls. That's the way to kick it.
Like I would be looking at like the cutest elderly woman walking, like she got the looks a kill.
It's Nurse Ratchet. That'd be awesome. I don't know, man, but I want one of those rock and roll themed nursing homes. And if nobody's doing that right now, that's a killer idea for Gen X. We all got to retire and get old at some point. Set up those.
Got to have some Tom Petty, Mary Jane's Last Dance.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's a good one. We were talking about the singer from Firehouse who just passed away.
I heard that. Yeah, that's like you said. We're losing them one by one, and more often than not now. I mean, I was shocked back in 2017 when we lost Tom Petty, and it's just like it just has snowballed since then.
Yeah, I agree. I was telling Rob that some of these, like usually you hear people dying, celebrities, musicians, you don't really think much about it. But when some of them have so much to do with your childhood and growing up, your best years, your younger years.
Well, they're almost like a family member,
Yeah, Eddie Van Halen. Man, I felt that one.
Yeah.
Prince. Yeah, that one. I felt that one too, man. Because one of the best soundtracks of all time, Purple Rain.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Speaking of which, my oldest daughter was just listening to Dolly Parton's new rock album, Rockstar, and she does a cover of Purple Rain on that.
Really?
And
okay.
Yeah, and I've never been a huge Dolly fan. I like her as a person. Don't get me wrong, but just and I love me some country music too. But I just never was a huge Dolly fan. But she sounds kind of like a little old lady trying to sing Purple Rain. A little old lady that kind of sounds like Dolly Parton, which she's almost 80. So, I mean.
Yeah.
Well, the only person that pulled off a rock song from country music, I think, was Johnny Cash. Feel Hurt.
Oh, my God. Yeah, well, the only person who pulled it off and did it better.
yeah, he actually did it better, yeah.
No, even the lead singer of Nine Inch Nails, Trent Reznor, said that's Johnny's song now. Like
I saw that interview, and he said first when he heard that Johnny was doing it, he was kind of pissed off about it. He's like, "Hey, I don't want this big country star, taking my song and butchering it." And then he heard it and he was like, "Yeah, that's your song now."
Yeah, And you could hear the emotion in Johnny's voice in that song, man.
It sounded like somebody sang a deathbed confession.
To the end of the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, it sounded like a deathbed confession for a song, didn't it? And I think that's what made it powerful to me.
Oh yeah,
we got this man on his deathbed, and this is what he's singing, and it was cool. It's way cool.
Yeah. So I just want to bring up one more thing before we bring up our topic. So you guys watch I know, Cyrus, you said you didn't, but Cody, did you watch the ending of WrestleMania 40?
I did. I caught both nights. I caught about the last hour and a half, 2 hours of, and you know what? I haven't watched professional wrestling in better than a decade now, probably, since I watched it anything resembling regularly. And I gotta say, the ending, the final match, it felt more like old school WWF to me than pro wrestling had in a long time.
Yes. So to recap, there was Cody Rhodes versus Roman, and you knew there was going to be upset interference because the Bloodline has been doing it for 3 years now.
It was so most of it was so predictable. I knew that Cody and Seth Rollins were going to lose the tag match on the first night. That was a given.
Yep. Against The Rock and
then
Roman.
We all knew that Cody Rhodes was going to win the title on the second night. But the way they did it was crafted well enough that it was satisfying, and it really felt like it brought back that WrestleMania magic that's been missing for so long.
Well, yeah, because Paul Levesque's now running the show now. Vince McMahon just sold the last remaining, what is it called? His part of the WWE. Yeah. So there is no more Vince McMahon. He's totally gone out of the picture. So it felt like a new era. The lighting, the camera work, the angles, everything looks so fresh now. And when Jimmy came out, you're thinking, oh, here we go again. Jimmy's gonna screw Cody out of a chance to win the title. Then Jay comes out to combat. Then you got Solo come in, spikes Cody. You think it's over again. Who comes out? Mr. WrestleMania himself, John Cena, comes out. And then The Rock comes out. And I don't know about you, Cody, but when The Rock and Cena were face to face, I literally got chills.
Because I got chills on, but I got a feeling you're about to get to that.
Yeah, I'm going to get to that. So, The Rock takes out Cena. Everybody.
Cena looked like a bitch, and I was like, what?
Yeah.
But, they have to do something to get rid of that camera glare off of Cena's bald spot.
Well, the ending was my favorite part, but then you have Seth Rollins come out to the Shield music. Now, this is where it got interesting because everybody thought it was Moxley. Yeah, they thought John Moxley was coming back as Dean Ambrose. No, it's Seth Rollins dressed up in the Shield gear, and he gets taken out right away. Then you get the Undertaker that comes out, and everybody thought it was going to be Stone Cold. I don't know about you.
I did.
Everybody thought, yeah. So when the dong hit, I don't know about you, Cody, but I literally was about to pass out. Like, no way did they get the dead man to come back.
I get chills.
Yeah. So the lights go out, the dong hits again. Undertaker standing behind The Rock. The Rock gives the most priceless look when he sees the Undertaker there.
Oh, he totally sold it.
Yeah.
That was probably some of the best acting The Rock has ever done.
Yeah. I mean, Academy Award just for that one moment right there. So now you have the Undertaker take out The Rock. The lights hit. Everybody's gone. Except for Seth Rollins in the ring. Now, this is where the storytelling was amazing. I thought this was the most amazing part. Is Roman has a chair. He could take out Cody Rhodes anytime. He sees Rollins get up with the Shield gear on. Flashback 10 years ago.
Well, see, I stopped watching right before that, so I I didn't know the reference until I caught it. Somebody posted it on Facebook, the comparison. And I'm like, well, that's a cool callback.
Yeah, that's a 10-year callback. That's why I said the story writing was amazing. They brought back something that was still vivid in Roman's head, because when he hits Seth Rollins, Seth delivers the same hurt reaction that Roman did, with the back, bent his back and everything. Storytelling at its finest. I'm sold as a WWE fan again because of Paul Levesque's direction. And it was also good to see Stephanie McMahon. Stephanie made an appearance.
Yeah, and I heard she was gone. I had heard she had completely left the company before Vince had. So
She did, but
that was cool.
Yeah, Triple H brought her back because he said Stephanie is WrestleMania, because she told the story how she was a 7-year-old kid when Vince created WrestleMania. So she was there at WrestleMania 1 as a 7-year-old child. 40 years later, she's still there. So I thought that was a nice little reference to bring her back for at least WrestleMania.
Now, the question is, are they going to bring Shane back now? I mean, personally, I have no problem with the younger generations of McMahon still being involved in it. Because, I mean, the McMahons are the WWF. Yeah. I mean, they're at the heart of it. So, I don't have a problem with them periodically making appearances, as long as Grandpa Vince stays out of it and, just shits his pants or shits in some hooker's hair or whatever he's wanting to do now, because he's got enough money to.
Yeah, it's such a sorry thing what he did to himself. Think about it. He took over a corporation from his dad. He creates this billion-dollar conglomerate, and then what's he do? He fucks it up by being fucking, pornastic bastard.
He
ruins his own chance.
That girl that claimed all that stuff, the WWE diva who claimed all that. I don't even remember her name right now, but it's come out now, tweets of her. Apparently the relationship was more than just monetary. She sent him a lot of texts saying she loved him and he was the love of her life and all this. And they had a relationship apparently. And she was into that freaky shit, a lot of the freaky shit that he was doing. And who knows, she might have been the one that was instigating it. And he might have just been the old man that was trying to keep the young hot chick that was interested in him happy. And when he stopped paying her hush money, that's when she put her spin on it.
I don't know, because Ronda Rousey has come out recently too, saying how her interactions with Vince were too. So.
Oh, really? She had unpleasant interactions with him?
Yep.
Why would you even try with her? Because she could kick your ass.
Yeah. Well, he's Vince. He's competitive. He wanted the challenge.
Wow.
But yeah, I just wanted to bring up that WrestleMania quickly, because as a lifelong wrestling fan, I know you guys are too. It was a breath of fresh air that wrestling hasn't felt in at least 10 years.
Yeah, the main events at least were definitely a breath of fresh air, and I really enjoyed them. The other matches, they were okay. I mean, I'm not going to knock it, but personally, I for one would like to see WrestleMania go back to one night.
Me too.
I didn't know it was 2 nights.
Yeah. It's got so big now. It's like 14 matches now, Cody?
God, I don't remember. Like I said, I just caught about the last hour and a half, 2 hours of each night, and it was 3 to 4 hours each night, and I'm like, that's just a bit much, because the starting matches. I mean, you're playing like undercard matches at WrestleMania, and that's WrestleMania is supposed to be the showcase. Yeah,
and the thing is, everybody now wants a special entrance now too for WrestleMania.
And it takes probably 20 minutes to get down to the ring, strutting around.
Yeah. I think that's why they had to make it
the only person that could get away with that 5-minute entrance is The Undertaker. Yeah.
And we all had patience for it back then, but now when everybody wants a 5-minute entrance, it's like, when is the match going to start?
Well, especially the Undertaker, especially after he started getting up there in years, and when he'd take 5 minutes and walk super slow down the ring. I mean, that just made him connect more with us Gen X kids, because I know it takes me in the morning. I get up and it takes 5 minutes to hobble to the bathroom. So
Man, you're good. It takes me 5 minutes just to roll out of bed.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh man. Yeah, I'm like a turtle. I sleep on my back, man. I do like 20 crunches just trying to get out of fucking bed. It's rough.
So I just wanted to bring that up quickly before we start with Mr. Axel Foley. So, hey,
Yeah.
do you have that trailer for Beverly Hills Cop 4?
No, it didn't get loaded in the studio, and I don't have that option from my phone.
Okay,
so,
that's all right.
Sorry, buddy.
Well,
wait a minute. Hold on.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. Give me a second here. I might just have it. Here we
go. You are a liar. Mr. Henry fucking Rollins to the rescue.
Hey, I can't. If he shows up, he's part of it in the contract. I can't go anywhere without him.
Hey, where are you at, by the way?
I am location state city.
No, I mean, like, are you at work? Like, you're at a
no, I'm out by my shop.
Okay. All right.
He's a liar right now. So.
Is he?
we gotta ask Henry Rollins for permission to be his official sponsors.
Yeah.
The official Henry Rollins.
In with those socials. Let's do it for Johnny, man. Let's do it for Johnny.
I had no idea what that was.
That was a great one. Who was that cute guy, by the way? I might turn gay for him.
I think I've seen him stand with the mayor in Boston. Wow.
Oh, that's where I've seen him from. He's that Bruins guy, right?
I think so.
That Bruins guy. I don't have a drop for that either.
Yes. So, Beverly Hills Cop, 1984. So I looked up some numbers on this. It had a budget of $15 million, and it made a whopping $234 million back, being the number one. Now, there are two different sources. One source says it was number 2 after Ghostbusters. And another source said it made $5 million more than Ghostbusters. So I'm going with that one. And
I gotta stop you right there. I got a question, Rob.
Yeah.
$15 million? You had Eddie freaking Murphy, who just come off of 48 Hours.
Yeah.
And Saturday Night Live. How in the world did they get by making a movie of $15 million?
Well, originally, a lot of people don't know this, but a lot of people do. Originally, the role of Axel Foley was written for Sylvester Stallone.
Oh,
a lot of people, yeah.
I got a couple pieces of info on that too. Go ahead, though.
Yeah, but when that didn't work out, they tweaked the script a little bit to make it funnier, and they got Eddie Murphy, and it grossed, like I said, it grossed $234 million, which makes it the number one. And by the way, if you guys are interested, look up top 20 movies of 1984. I think me, Cyrus, and the old Father Mahoney House of Horror show has done about 8 of these. I did not even realize this. And
it was a good year.
Yeah, I believe The Outsiders are on that list too. So
yeah.
But anyways, what was I saying? So this had a cast of Judge Reinhold, had Ronnie Cox, had who played Taggart again? You want to look that up real fast, Cyrus?
Yeah, I'll look it up.
Yeah. We also had Bronson Pinchot. I can never get his name right. He's
Bronson Pinchot.
Yeah, he played Balky.
John Ashton was
John
Taggart.
And this, well, I'll let you talk about the Sylvester Stallone tie-in too, because I believe we probably have the same information. So go ahead.
This was kind of weird though, because I was looking this up. They had the script, and they were kind of shopping it around, and they were looking for like a lead actor, and I read that there were 2 different people that were like in the running for it before Eddie Murphy came up. One of them was Harrison Ford. He was offered to play Axel Foley, but he turned it down because I'm not quite sure why he turned it down, but he just wasn't really into the film. Of course, he was busy doing so many other things that time anyway. And then the other one was Sylvester Stallone. Well, Stallone did rewrites to the script, which the original title of it was Beverly Drive. And so he did rewrites because he didn't think it was violent enough, and he wanted it to be edgier and all that stuff. So he does these
more
rewrites.
Stallone-like.
Yeah. So he does all these rewrites, and when they look at it, like I said, Stallone will do the film, but you have to change the rewrites. Well, they were looking at the stuff that he changed. They're like, we don't have the budget for this. So they couldn't do it. So he's like, well, screw it. He went on and did one version of his own anyway, which turned out to be later on Cobra.
Yeah.
That was sort of how he was rewriting it. So he went on to do Cobra. So we almost didn't have Beverly Hills Cop. Eddie Murphy came in and looked at it, and I guess he thought, well, you know, he liked the character Axel Foley, and they thought, well, let's just sort of put a comedic element into the script, and then Eddie just run off with it. And he just ad-libbed a lot of that movie from the script, and it just, you know, everyone just like fell in love with working with Eddie Murphy on this film. The guy who played Taggart, Judge Reinhold, and you know all these others, Ashton, and they all just at that point just were having a great time. And the fact that they almost didn't get that, because if Stallone had got his way, or if they had indeed got freaking Indiana Jones to do it, it wouldn't have been a funny movie, because like Harrison Ford didn't want the comedy.
Yeah.
So, but interesting how it fell in his lap. And Eddie Murphy back in that day, you know, Rob, he was everywhere. And by the time, and it was just, you know, Beverly Hills Cop was a huge freaking movie, but he had just come off of 48 Hours, and which was huge, and then Trading Places, which with Dan Aykroyd, which was huge, and then in '84 when Beverly Hills Cop came out, Ghostbusters came out again, Dan Aykroyd. There's that time, and they were so big on that like between like 1988 and 1982, you could not get away from Eddie Murphy. Raw out, Delirious came out. He was huge on Saturday Night Live. Then The Golden Child, then Beverly Hills Cop 2. Coming to
Golden Child is actually one of my personal favorite movies, and I know it gets a lot of shit, but man, it's a fun movie.
Yeah. Before we close up today, let me just toss this out. Maybe we can do this at the end. Eddie Murphy has such a big array of movies. Let's do our Mount Rushmore Eddie Murphy movies.
Oh, who else was doing that? I think it was Grandpa. What, Cody? Was it Grandpa and Cripple Cody that were going to talk about that, or was it you and Cripple Cody?
Well, I don't know if he's listening, but I stole the idea from them when I was watching that show.
Yeah, because they were doing a 2-part. It was Grandpa. Was it Grandpa?
I don't remember.
I remember Grandpa.
I think
it was Cripple Cody and Grandpa. They were doing a 2-part on Eddie Murphy, and then after the first episode, Mr. Producer Mike decided to go on one of his rampages and eliminate the whole network. So I don't think we ever got a part 2. But
sadly,
I believe Grandpa said he still wanted to get together with Cripple Cody at some point and finish that.
We got to get him on the network sometime. I don't care if it's your show or my show or what. Yeah. But I do miss the better Cody.
Yeah, the better Cody. Oh yeah, he would love this topic too. Beverly Hills Cop. So another tie-in to the Sylvester Stallone saga is in part 2. In Billy Rosewood's room, there's a picture of Cobra.
Wow, I never noticed that.
Yeah, and then later on in the movie, when Billy blows up the truck, he says, Taggart says, "Fuck Rambo." So there's another tie-in, and then I found a mysterious tie-in. The villain in this movie is played by Steven Berkoff. Steven Berkoff played in First Blood, Rambo Part 2 as the Russian villain. Remember him? Let me see if I could do his voice from Rambo. Dragonfly Wolf Dan. Colorful names. That when I was watching that, and I'm like, where did I have seen? I've seen this guy before because his accent's different. And I'm like, and then like a week later, I was watching Beverly Hills Cop. I was like, holy shit, that's the same guy.
So I'll just do a quick recap of this movie for those who may not remember. Where you're talking about that guy from Rambo, right? And the Russian one, but he was the guy who played Victor Maitland in this movie. So initially, this movie is Axel Foley, played by Eddie Murphy, and he's a Detroit cop. He's undercover, and he a friend of his comes into town, and this friend got in mixed up with some bad people, got into some German bearer bonds they found that were marked so they could be sold anywhere. They were getting them through customs. Well, anyway, somebody kills his friend, and then he wants to go. He tracks this down to Beverly Hills, these German bearer bonds. So he takes a vacation because his boss won't let him do anything at this point. You know, he doesn't want him on investigating this because his friend was kind of trashy anyway. He was always into some trouble and just out of prison. And so anyway, he goes out to Beverly Hills and try to find out who in the world killed his friend. And this is where he runs into that guy from, the Rambo movie, a guy named Victor Maitland, who's a big art dealer. And he's smuggling these German bearer bonds, but he's not just doing that. These other crimes this guy's doing. So he gets kind of in trouble with the local police because of this Victor Maitland guy. And that's where he meets up with Rosewood and Taggart, the local cops there in Beverly Hills. And from this investigation where he's not supposed to be doing this, they're sort of supposed to be watching him. And he's sort of making a fool out of him and, trying to lose him on the trail and stuff like that. But they're like, dude, we're going to get in a lot of trouble. We're getting paid to follow you, and we're going to get fired. And he was like, no, you just join me on this. And he takes pity on him, like won't lose them. And the cool thing about this from a nerd writer's perspective, Rob, is that this thing had so many good elements of a great story, not just good script writing, but this came out in the acting too, because you had these friendships that were developing, the loyalty among those people, not just with Axel Foley and his friend that got killed, but his new friends in Beverly Hills, the two new cops, Rosewood and Taggart. And they're kind of green about a lot of things that he sees in Detroit because crime is very different and they just do business different. But also the underpinning about where gritty Detroit versus like posh Beverly Hills, and you get the out of the combination of those scenes, and it's like that's real life, like two people that never come together, sort of, And you had that theme running off it, which I thought was great storytelling. It really, really makes you like the characters. And Eddie Murphy, you could have picked a better person for this movie than Eddie Murphy.
No, definitely not. I mean, Eddie Murphy takes this. I mean, we all have obviously Sylvester Stallone. You know him as Rocky or Rambo. Bruce Willis is John McClane. I will always forever call Eddie Murphy Axel Foley because of this movie.
Yeah. He's been in a lot of great things.
Axel Foley. Yes, he's been an amazing amount of things, but to me, he'll always be Axel Foley. Like that moment that we have to say goodbye to him. That's my profile picture is him as Axel Foley.
Yeah. Unfortunately, if this guy ever passes, when he does, and we're still here, it's like, that guy was Axel Foley.
Yeah.
He wasn't Shrek. He wasn't, all these other characters. He wasn't Dr. Doolittle. He was Axel Foley. And
that's what pisses me off about today's kids today. When they start watching these things and they learn about Eddie Murphy, he was the guy who talked to the animals. He was the donkey. He is Axel Foley, motherfuckers.
Now, his career in the 80s, his stand-up comedy was like you could only fit that in the 80s. And I guess he just switched gears in the 90s because at some point people change, times change, culture changes. And he really was masterful of recreating his career and then doing those types of movies in the 90s.
Yeah, every generation he recreated himself.
Yeah, he was everywhere in the 90s too, just in a different way. And it wasn't our cool way. I mean, I didn't really go see any of his movies after Harlem Nights, right? But I did Beverly Hills Cop 3, and I think when that came out.
Well, I know Cody Robinson loves Harlem Nights, so I know he's a big advocate for that movie. I am too. I like the fact that they had the tribute to the past comedians that influenced Eddie Murphy too. You know, they had Richard Pryor, and then you had Red Fox, who was
Red Fox. Yeah, no kidding.
We're so wasted, though, for the most part in that movie. I mean, the movie was more of an ego trip for Eddie Murphy than it was than Smokey and the Bandit was for Burt Reynolds. Which I love, Smokey and the Bandit and Harlem Nights. It's an okay movie. I haven't watched it since I was a kid.
You think about it, they have 4 different generations. You start with Red Fox, then you go to Richard Pryor, then you go to Eddie Murphy, and then they also had Arsenio Hall was in there. A lot of people forgot that Arsenio was in there too.
Yeah,
so 4 generations of black comedians.
Lied on Eddie Murphy though. That was my only problem. I'm like, okay, this is Eddie. This is your chance to pay homage to the people who laid the groundwork before you, the reason you have a career. And I just felt like he hogged the spotlight a bit too much in it. I'm not saying I hate the movie, but
you know who I thought made the movie?
It definitely was the first Eddie Murphy movie I watched that made me think less of him.
You know who I thought really had a character that sort of made the movie? Della Reese.
Della Reese.
Go ahead, shoot my pinky toe. Go ahead, quick.
I'm probably gonna be misquoted, but she said something like, "Her pussy's so good that when you throw it up in the air, it looks like sunshine."
Yeah, it turns to sunshine. Yeah, I remember that. And Red Fox is like,
yeah,
I want to meet her.
See, I never got to see Red Fox stand up. I grew up watching Sanford and Son, so I saw the PG Red Fox when that movie came out, and I'm like, boy, did this guy have a mouth on him.
Yeah, can you imagine the kids in the '80s that went to first see Delirious with Eddie Murphy, and this was before Raw came out, and then like thinking they're gonna get Gumby and all these other fun characters from Saturday Night Live. And he was like, some of you people with kids might want to get those kids out of here right now.
I watched it I saw it on VHS just at the perfect age. I mean, I was like 13, 14 years old. And and I thought it was like the greatest thing ever, of course.
Oh, I know. Yeah. It was awesome.
You talk about generational talents. Eddie Murphy's done it twice in Beverly Hills Cop. You know, he had the cameo of Damon Wayans as the guy that served him the banana for the tailpipe. And in part 2, you see a young, was it not Jamie Foxx, Chris Rock.
Yeah.
So you talk about hogging the spotlight for Harlem Nights, but yes, he did help like younger talent by getting them like just a small little part to say, hey, you should check out this guy. Like Damon Wayans went to be huge. And then Chris Rock, I mean, Chris Rock is another talented.
He's going to get bitch slapped by Will Smith. I mean, what more can you do with your career?
Yeah. Do you believe they're making a Chris Rock reference? By the way, they're making a part 4 to Bad Boys.
Yeah, I saw that. The trailer's already out. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, let it die, man. But this is coming from the same guy who was ecstatic to see Lethal Weapon 4. And I really hope that they do get Lethal Weapon 5 made.
True.
That would be cool. One thing about Beverly Hills,
when Mel Gibson, since Richard Donner passed, he took over the director's reins, and he is going to direct if it happens before one of them die.
I hope so. One thing about Beverly,
I'm okay. Like you said, we just lost the lead singer of Fastway. And we're losing these guys left and right. They're childhood icons. So, you know what? Even if they come back and do something and, it isn't quite up to par, it'll just be nice to get to see them one more time,
Yeah, that's one thing when all the bands we grew up with, and some of them are still playing and making music today. I actually try to buy some of that music, like Scorpions. They still put out some pretty good stuff. I mean, that was one of my favorite
they're still rocking.
Skid Row.
They retired and came back too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
my favorite quote I heard. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh no, go ahead.
Oh, did I lose you?
No, you can go ahead and use your favorite
go
quote.
Ahead.
No. I was just going to say that my favorite quote was something Ted Nugent said on the last time he was interviewed by Joe Rogan. And when Joe asked him how long, he's like, dude, you're like 73. How long are you going to keep doing this? How long you keep touring and stuff? And he said, ask Mick. We're just waiting. Well, Big Jagger's waiting to show us all how long we can do this.
Yep.
Oh yeah, no doubt, man. Some of these guys they just don't give up. Aerosmith, but that's cool. I mean, put out some new music. I know people change, their music tastes change, and they grow and things like that. But yeah, I'm always looking for new music from people we grew up with, and that's the fun part because it doesn't have to be the same as it used to be. I mean, if I want that, I just get another AC/DC album. I mean, I love AC/DC, but like every album sort of sounds the same, and that's their stick, and that's awesome. I never got to see them live, but
and it worked.
It worked.
I got to see them live once back on the Heat Seeker tour.
That's a great album, wasn't it?
Yeah.
But speaking of music, though, I wanted to kind of on Beverly Hills Cop. I would have to say that
I was just bringing that up.
Yeah, this
good
is
call.
the era of like soundtracks, man, and I love good soundtracks in the '80s. And I'd have to say, Beverly Hills Cop. I mean, they pulled in some old, I guess, Motown, like Patti LaBelle was on this. The
Pointer Sisters,
Neutron Dance, and of course they pulled Glenn Frey in to do The Heat Is On, and then Stir It Up, which is the song at the beginning when he's going into Beverly Hills. He's just driving down, and you're getting like the intro of the movie. That was Patti LaBelle, and just there were so many good songs. I would honestly put this in a top 25 of soundtracks in the '80s.
But you also forgot the music of Axel F by Harold Faltermeyer.
No, that was iconic.
Yes,
yeah.
If you make a theme song like the title theme song, that is definitely like up there, like probably my top 10. Because every time that music hits, it's like you get jazzed up for the next scene because it plays a little bit repetitively, yes, but it's also like Axel's about to do something again. That's its little cue. Axel's up to something.
Yeah, it's like that little theme in Jaws, like
where you hit dun 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 dun. Yeah,
or like the little thing there at Camp Crystal Lake, and you're like, oh, we're about to get something here.
Yeah, something. Axel's about to do something. Yes.
Yeah, the scoring in this movie was really good with the rock and roll and that theme, that one theme. Like anytime
in fact,
you hear
they're actually paying tribute to that because the part 4 is actually called Axel F.
Yeah, and they better be playing this heavy in rotation in this movie. I'm looking forward to it. And I guess people, if they want to watch the trailer, we can't show it, but you can go on YouTube or Rumble.
But I do have a trivia question, which I actually blew the original trivia question. The original one who was playing Axel Foley, we already blew that one. So I came up one on the fly. Who played the guy that killed Axel's friend in Detroit? Cody knows this one, but let's give.
It's been a while.
People, huh?
It's been a while.
Yeah. All right. I'll play the
Excellent. Yeah. I had the soundtrack on cassette, man. I wore it out. It's one of those that, like the many great soundtrack cassettes I had that have just disappeared over the years. But yeah, I wore that cassette out.
Well, I don't know if anybody's watching on Rumble or YouTube, but Cody, do you know who played the killer? The guy who killed Axel's friend.
I don't remember, honestly. It's really been too long.
Cyrus?
I remember the guy's face. He was
this is gonna shock you guys.
Oh jeez. I remember his face because he was taunting him
are either you guys Breaking Bad fans?
I've seen
never
like 2
watched
episodes.
It's on my list to get around to.
Okay, so you guys wouldn't have known it then.
I have not.
Okay, the guy who played in 5 seasons of Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul. His name is Jonathan Banks. He still has that same voice 20 years later, whatever it is. And he plays bounty hunter Mike Ehrmantraut. So he's not it's not a far stretch because he kind of played he played the brother of a killer, but of a drugs dealer. But so it's not much of a stretch, but yeah, that was 40 years ago actually, yeah. And Breaking Bad ended in 2017. So a lot of people who are Breaking Bad fans didn't know that he also actually played in 48 Hours. He played the cop that
yeah, that's right.
That got shot in the stairs.
Yeah,
remember?
Because he went upstairs, to go after the 2 guys up there in the room with the girls.
Yeah, he kept telling Jack, "Don't do it, Jack," and Gans killed him. Yeah.
Holy crap! Now that I'm thinking about it, do you know what else that guy was in? Do you remember Stir Crazy?
Yes.
And wasn't he in Gremlins?
I believe he had a small part in Gremlins, but he's been acting since the 70s.
Yeah, he was one of the deputies. Yeah.
Yeah.
God, but the actor's name was Jonathan Banks. He played a lot of small roles in the 80s and 90s, and then finally hit it big with Breaking Bad.
Holy crap! Horrible Bosses. That's where I remember this guy from. One of the Horrible Boss movies.
So, so that's a little trivia. If anybody, I don't think anybody's watching on Rumble, but if anybody got it, then we'll send you a prize. Just message me on my YouTube channel. It's Mahoney Massacre. You'll be able to find the show. Just leave a comment. I'll believe you. Now everybody's gonna say, "I got it." Yes, I did.
One of these days, Rob, we're gonna have to figure out a way to give away one of my books on the show.
Okay, well, we'll do a show. Actually, we might be able to do it for the next show because I put out on my YouTube channel and a couple of my Facebook pages. What should we do for our next show? I'll let the fans pick it this time. I gave them 3 choices. I gave them 48 Hours. I gave them Lethal Weapon, and I gave them Die Hard. The results came back in after 31 votes. It was 15 votes that had the most votes for Die Hard.
Wow. So you can't go wrong with any of those.
No. Second place was Lethal Weapon, and just right after Lethal Weapon by like 1 vote was 48 Hours. So we might actually do all 3 at some point, but we'll start with Die Hard. That will be in 2 weeks. But I think it's time for promoting time. Mr. Cody, if you want to come back in for a second.
Yeah, real quick, ahead. Rob. Did you want to do a Mount Rushmore of Eddie Murphy movies?
Sure. Well, we can include Mr. Producer on this one.
Yeah.
Mr. Producer. He'll be in. Because Henry fucking Rollins said so that he'll be in.
That's right, and he's no liar.
He's no liar. Well, I knew that would get his attention. Mr. Producer, get in here.
He'll pop in a minute, but I have I don't know on the Mount Rushmore. Like I've got Beverly Hills Cop definitely on that. But you know what? As much as I hate sequels, Beverly Hills Cop was just as freaking good as the first one, or part 2. Yeah. So I would put that on Mount Rushmore too for Eddie Murphy movies. 48 Hours and then Trading Places.
I like this. I'm there with you on 3 of them.
The Golden Child, but
my top 4 is I got 3 of them that you had. Beverly Hills Cop, 48 Hours, and Trading Places. But I'm going to throw in The Golden Child because it's a guilty pleasure movie for me. I saw both Beverly Hills Cop and The Golden Child when I was a kid at the theater. So I had the dumbest question too in Beverly Hills Cop. I went to see it with my older sister, and the part when they have Steven Berkoff dead to rights, and then Ronnie Cox comes in to help Axel, and they shoot him like you never seen anybody get shot before. My question was, is he dead? To my sister, she's like, yeah, I'm pretty sure after like 20 bullets, yeah, he's dead.
Yeah, he's not Michael Myers getting up.
Yeah.
But you know what? There's so many movies you can put on there. I wouldn't argue with anybody about them. Like, yeah, definitely, that's a guilty pleasure movie. You're
Audible mentioned one, and this is one that a lot of people probably forgot: The Distinguished Gentleman.
Yeah, I was about to say Coming to America.
Yeah, Coming to America is good too. But producer Cody, do you have a Mount Rushmore of Eddie Murphy movies?
Oh, well, of course, Beverly Hills Cop's got to be right at the top. Are we counting as comedy specials?
Yeah.
No, anything you want.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Raw and Delirious got to be up there. And I do love The Golden Child. I mean, that one has I think it's a highly underrated film of his. And I love Life. Him and Martin Lawrence in Life. That's a great one.
Yeah.
Oh wow, I forgot about that. That was
Talk
really
about
good.
the ensemble cast like Harlem Nights. I mean, that movie.
Yeah. I totally forgot about that.
That's a who's who of African American comedy.
So part 4, I guess, is coming out on Netflix. You know what I would really like? I remember there was talk back in like the early 2010s about a Beverly Hills Cop show, a TV show.
Yeah. Do you remember who they were slated to get as Axel's son?
Who?
He's now a popular actor, Michael B. Jordan.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Michael B. Jordan was the one they were trying to go after if they ever came up with a TV show.
Yeah. Yeah, because I could see it like on HBO or something or Showtime, but like NBC or ABC's picking it up, you're missing the whole character of Axel Foley. Like so, yeah. So I would like maybe Netflix to maybe try to do something like that. That'd be good.
Michael B. Jordan was like, Jesus Christ, if I can't play Eddie Murphy's son, shit, I guess I'll play Carl Weathers' son.
Yeah. Well, see, I think I'm glad that he didn't get the role of Eddie Murphy's son, because then he would have been typecasted as someone just who plays a famous son. Yeah, I'm glad that it didn't work out.
Canceled after one season. Yeah.
Yeah, because I think the Creed movies are so underrated. Like, I think we had this talk before, Cody, that Creed 3 without Stallone was actually better than the 2 with Stallone.
I was lukewarm on the first 2, and then the third one, I finally got around to watching it last year, and I mean it felt more like a Rocky movie than the first 2 Creeds did. That's for sure.
Yeah. Cyrus, if you haven't seen the Creed movies, I highly suggest they.
Saw the first one, didn't see the second.
The second one's good, but I think it's a little repetitive with the whole Drago thing, and they bring in Drago back.
Rocky 4 Part 2.
Yeah, that's what it is. But Part 3, I went to the theater. I took a picture next to the giant Creed stand up, and I was blown away by that. I thought that was the best of the 3 by far.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So sorry to like interject the Mount Rushmore in there. You guys had some promos or some things you wanted to?
Some promotion. Do you have a Backwards Horror coming soon?
We do have one coming this Monday, and it's my pick this time. So you guys will have to forgive me. The Backwoods Horror Show. This one is going to be very loosely horror based. We're doing one of my favorite movies of all time, Quentin Tarantino's Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Nice.
And it's got the Manson clan, Manson cult in the background of it. So I use that as my loophole to get it on the show.
Yeah.
But seriously, one of my favorite films of all time. We're gonna have a great time with it. I think it's going to be a fantastic show.
Well, I'm going to take a shot at you now. So your theory about that being a horror is kind of like when Mike Sankovich said that Halloween 5 is a water-based horror movie because Michael lands in that little stream.
Fair enough. I won't argue that. I won't argue that.
Yeah. I love you so much.
I've been wanting to talk about this movie for so long. I run it by Trav and Grandpa the Nerd, and they both approved. So
where can I find that streaming? Is it probably one of the paid networks too?
It's on Netflix. Because I bought it. I don't know because I've never streamed it. I bought it right when it came out.
Actually, I think it's on Hulu. Because I saw it somewhere and I added it to my list to watch.
I'll probably have to buy it because Poe has been itching for me to watch it. So
you will not regret it. Especially for people, us Gen Xers, the children of the boomers. This movie, it just. I'm not even going to call it nostalgia. The way that you don't feel like it's a movie that's made in modern time. It actually feels like it's made, aside from the better picture quality, of course, but you feel like you're right there in the 60s, in 1969 with them.
Nice.
I mean, it's just a love letter to the golden era of Hollywood and all those, golden era of television during the 60s. And it's a real character piece. I mean, and I will be the first to say that I'm not I've never been a big DiCaprio fan. And I like, I'm not going to deny Brad Pitt has some good movies, but I've never been on the Brad Pitt train. And this movie, these guys both just knock it out of the park. There's two, Margot Robbie's in there too. I mean, she's Margot Robbie.
Well, I used to consider myself one of the foremost experts on Manson, so because I've done 3 reports on him. I think I told that story on a podcast in the past.
Right, the Manson thing it's kind of like in the backdrop. It all culminates in the third act, but which you'll see, which is just even the third act, the last 30 minutes of the film are just, it's worth watching. I think it's got like a 2 hour and 40-minute runtime, but I love every minute of the film. But at parts, to some people, it may seem a little slow, especially people who aren't fans of 60s cinema. But if you'll just hang in there, the last 30 minutes are just, it all pays off at the end. That's all I'm going to say. And just easily to me, and I'm a big Tarantino fan, but this is his best film, hands down. He's working on his 10th film now. I think he should have quitted this one because he's not going to top
it. Cyrus, do you have anything to promote?
Yeah, a couple things real quick. I just finished. I got one more go through of this book. The publisher is getting this book I've been working the last 18 months on. It's kind of like Braveheart meets a Dan Brown book. So it's a Dark Ages story. It's called The Merlin Deposition. I am like stoked that this project is damn near done. Hopefully a little later on in the year, this hardback will be out. The publisher will be looking at it, reviewing it over the next couple of weeks or so, or a month. The good thing about having that done is I'm back into writing Gonzo Chronicles, so I'm back on Gonzo 3. I just pulled that up and started working on that today. So I should have the Gonzo Chronicles of Barry Dick, book 3 coming out. So if you want some Barry Dick, you're going to get some Barry Dick coming out a little later on this year. So got that one coming on, and I've got I just scheduled a couple of book signings for later on this year. Actually, one comes up in June 8th. So if you're driving anywhere through, doing some scenic touring through Virginia, North Carolina, I'll be over in Wythe County. It's a scenic overlook. A lot of people drive through. It's an arts center called Big Walker Lookout. So if you want to see mountains for miles and hear some live music and meet me, I'm going to be there June 8th, and then I'll be there again in October before Halloween.
Nice. As for me, we already promoted that in 2 weeks. We'll be doing Die Hard. So get a little John McClane action in there. On my on my YouTube channel, I do a couple different small segments. One's called Father Mahoney's Movie Review. I'll be reviewing the 2022 X by Ty West.
Oh.
So this is going to shock you. This is the first time I've seen this movie. I've always wanted to watch it, but I didn't have Netflix, and we just got Netflix about a week and a half ago. So I was like picking the day that I was off, and I was going through the horror section. And I was like, yes, I've been wanting to see this because I know this Pearl.
Anything for you, but I think it will be that much more impactful to you because of when it was made. Jenna Ortega's in it, right?
Yes.
Well, that's all I'm going to say. That it will be that much more impactful to you because of you waiting to watch it till now. Now that Jenna Ortega is a big star.
Yeah. No, that forgive me if I'm wrong. I will talk a little bit quickly about it. It gave me the Texas Chainsaw feel right from the beginning, right from the first shot. That. Yeah, and I can see Ty West drawing a lot of influence, especially I'd say up till 25, 30 minutes into the movie. It felt like his tribute to Tobe Hooper. That's all I'll say.
I mean, what he did, House of the Devil, right? That was his love letter to Rosemary's Baby and all the demonic possession films of the 70s.
Right, but you can definitely see he has a love for the genre in this movie.
Oh,
and yeah. I'm gonna definitely watch Pearl soon, and then I know Maxine's coming out. I just heard about that, so.
I'm going to wait till Maxine comes out, and then I'm going to watch Pearl and Maxine back to back.
Okay, yeah, because I can see that. But, yeah, so there's that trilogy right there for that. And if Pearl impresses me, I might be a new Ty West fan, because I did like House of the Devil, but I think this was much better. And if he can pull off this trilogy, I'll be a diehard. But on that note, thank you again for anyone who has watched this or is going to watch this on replay. I will post it tomorrow morning, the replay on it. Unfortunately, because of Facebook, I can't tag people. I don't know why. Like, as soon as I get my privileges back, I try to do it again. It's like, you're restricted 5 more days. So it says I'm not allowed to get likes. I don't know what that means. I thought that's the point of inviting people to like it. But
that's somebody at Facebook that's a vagina.
Yeah, so I've been sharing through my Instagram, which is attached to my Facebook. So I'm still posting on Facebook. I just can't tag you. I'm posting on my Twitter. I'm posting on my TikTok now as an alternative, and that's actually been getting me some likes. So TikTok might be the new area to promote my stuff on. And I am 97 subscribers away on YouTube for 1,000. So even if you hate my content, just subscribe to get me to that 1,000. I'll love you for that. So this has been another episode of Mahoney's MadHouse, and please do not put a banana in my tailpipe. Have a good day.
Cheers.
Amazing.
Well, that was fun.
Yeah, we got the bark this